Hey guys, today we're going to be trying some new makeup that is available at Sephora. We're going to be trying the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Gel Tint. I don't know why that's a tongue twister for me. Apparently it is. I have shades 3 and 5. We'll see which one works for me. I purchased the YSL All Hours Hyper Blur Multi-Use Loose Powder in shade number 2. This is not a new product, but I, am going down this talc-free loose powder rabbit hole, so I wanted to try that one. I also decided to pick up the big jumbo Dior bronzer, which is available at Sephora, apparently not on the Dior site, and the bronzers that are available on the Dior site are not available on Sephora. So clear as mud? I hope so. Okay, and then CREAL actually sent me 2 of their solid serum lip repairs. It is called The Adults Are Talking, and they sent me 2 shades, Thriving and Intuition. And then I also picked up the Dior Addict shade in 426 Dior Rodeo. They've come out with new shades, so we'll try that out. And we also have the NATASHA DENONA Bloom palette. So we've got a lot of fun stuff ahead of us. Let's go ahead and start with the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Gel Tint. So I think 3 is gonna work for me, but let's go ahead and squeeze some out. So it comes in this squeezy tube, and there is 3. I think that could work for me. I've also changed some of the settings on my camera. A few of you said that like everything was blown out a little bit too much in my videos. So I turned the exposure down a little bit. I hope that helps, but let me know. Let me know if it's still too bright at your end. And then here's shade number 5. Why do I get the feeling I'm like between these 2? Yeah, probably. So 5 looks a little bit more neutral. 3 looks a little bit more peachy. This one is 5, by the way. This one is 3. Yeah, I feel like I'm between these 2 shades. I'm just gonna mix them up on the back of my hand just to, I don't know, just to see what these 2 together looks like. I do feel like that would work for me. I don't think that's helpful for you guys though, because I don't think anyone's gonna run out and buy 2 different shades. So let me just pick one. Okay, I'm gonna go with shade number 3, which is the peachier, lighter one. And when I was mixing them together, they do have an interesting kind of, I don't know that I would call it gel, but it kind of feels like there's squalane in it. You know how squalane has kind of a mucusy, sorry, I don't want to say that word. It's like, it's more gooey. There's like more goo to it. All right, I've got my BK Beauty 101 brush here. See, it looks pretty light. I think that works. I think that works pretty well. And I do like that the coverage is light. It is called a tint, right? Yeah, it's a gel tint. So it does live up to that name. It is not very glowy, although it doesn't state that it would be. I don't know why I would assume that, probably because it's a tint, but it's not very glowy, but it does have a little bit of that grip. Like when you spread it out on your face, you kind of feel it dragging a little bit. Not in a bad way, but yeah, almost like it's really kind of like sucked onto your skin. Very interesting. So that's shade number 3, and I think that is a good one. It's a good one if you use me as a shade reference. Yeah, there's actually kind of like a density to this foundation. All right, there it is on half of my face. It has a light medium coverage. It has a very kind of natural skin-like finish, and I think it definitely lives up to its name, the Grip Gel Tint, for sure. Interesting. You can see kind of, I don't know, before and after. You know, I have it applied here, not here. Nice, nice. Okay, let me finish applying to the rest of my face here. I need a little bit more. I think because it's kind of thick in a way, it requires a bit more than I'm used to. Gosh, sorry if you hear that truck. It's our garbage truck outside, collecting the trash. Okay, there is the milk applied. Yeah, I would say it's actually pretty close to like a medium coverage. Yeah, it has a bit more coverage than I thought when I first put it on. Now that I have it all over my face, I feel like I'm getting a better sense of it. Yeah, I will continue to say it has a skin-like finish. It's not especially glowy at all. Very nice. Very nice. It blended out nicely. It's sitting nicely on my face so far. We'll check again at the end of the video, but so far so good. All right, so that's the Milk Hydro Grip Gel Tint from Milk Makeup. All right, now, oh, let's try that loose powder. Where did I put it? Oh, here. The All Hours Hyper Blur Multi-Use Loose Powder. Again, I got it in the shade number 2. And it's got the puffy top, which we love so much. And I think shade number 1 just was, maybe it was like white, like a translucent white. And I thought I would go for, I don't know, something with a little bit more of a light skin tone shading to it. All right, so it comes with sifter top, little puffy, which I won't use. And I'm just gonna use this powder brush from Refer. I like to start out real light when it comes to powder because I have dry skin. And I just like to use it to set down my makeup. And what I'm always looking for is a powder that sets down my makeup, brings down any kind of excess shine, but doesn't make my skin look dry, doesn't make my skin look matte. I'm not a fan of that. And in fact, I really like a soft blur, a kind of creaminess to my complexion when I'm done with powder. I also don't want any additional coverage. So yeah, I'd like a powder with a really light touch. Very nice, very nice. I definitely feel that kind of soft blur going on. I just applied the powder to this side, kind of wanted to compare. And you can see that I have a little bit of my skin glow kind of coming through, just a little bit. Compared to this side especially. This side looks much shinier. All right, let me finish applying to the rest of my face. All right, so far, so good. I'm really liking the finish. It's definitely set down my makeup. Looking good. All right, now, let's try this Dior bronzer. Now, when I was on the Sephora site, I just couldn't really get a good sense of the tones of these jumbo bronzers from Dior. So I just ordered number 1. I was actually tempted to order number 1 and number 3 because number 3 looked to be the most cool toned, almost gray tone. And I thought, oh, that could be kind of a nice bronzer shade. But anyway, I just went with number 10 or 1 on the site. I don't even know. But it says 10 on here, and I'm pretty sure the Sephora site said 1. Anyway, this is a soft matte finish. And then for the bronzer that I got on the Dior site, I got shade number 3, soft. I think it's like radiant or something. So I don't even know that I can see that much of a difference in the pan. There's like a little bit of shimmer in the Dior one. And then here is the soft matte. Wow. So this is number 3 on the Dior site. This is 10 or number 1 on the Sephora site. And this one looks deeper. I'm glad I didn't get number 2 or 20 in the jumbo because that would have been way too deep. Let's do some side-by-side swatches here. I really would have preferred the more radiant finish, but when it comes to bronzer, it is kind of hard to tell on the skin, especially when it's subtle. So here is the jumbo bronzer in 10 or number 1, the lightest shade on the Sephora site. This is the Dior site's number 3 soft radiant finish. Yeah, the number 3 is lighter than the number 1 or number 10 from the Dior site. I don't know why they made it so complicated. Why didn't they just make the same bronzer, same shades, just small and big? I don't know. I don't understand this confusion. Also with their highlighters, I feel like the naming was really off, but anyway. Who am I to say? All right, so I really enjoy the smaller one, the number 3 from the Dior site. So we'll see. We'll see if I like this one. So let me pull out a bronzer brush here. I'm actually gonna use this powder brush from BK Beauty. It's their 102 brush. I do like it for bronzer though, if I want a kind of a light dusting of it. So let's see. This is a pressed powder formula, so it shouldn't be difficult to pick up. I don't feel like I've picked up too much, which is nice. It's not like extra powdery or anything. There's just the slightest kind of suntan lotion scent. So slight. I don't hate this, but I like the smaller one better. I like the tone of this one better. it is slightly peachier, while this larger one is more orangey. You can probably see that in the pan. And I think as a bronze, in the summertime, an orangey one, if used lightly, doesn't look so bad. But I think overall, I just feel, I don't know, I just like a peachier tone better. It just looks a little bit more natural. When I put it on my cheeks, it can even double as a blush. This one just has too much, like an orange tone to it. Now, if you like that, or if you have like a warmer skin tone than me, you'll probably really like the tone of this larger one, number 1 or 10. But I personally prefer this smaller one. And again, you know, this one is matte versus the smaller one that I got in more of a radiant finish. I don't think you can see that much of a difference once you apply it. Maybe it's just slightly drier looking, but not that much of a difference. So that is the Dior Jumbo Bronzer in 10 Soft Matte applied. I'm just gonna add some blush, nothing new here. I've got the NATASHA DENONA High Blush, Cream Blush in here. I've got Simply Shy, is that what it is? Yeah, Simply Shy. It's the peachiest one, and since we're using the Bloom palette, which is pretty warm and peachy, I thought I would use this. Do I have a dog hair? I have a dog hair in here, hold on. I'm gonna go with my BK Beauty 115 brush. Bounce that on. Such a pretty shade. And I'm just gonna take my finger and apply this highlighter while we're at it. I don't have any new highlighters, right? Yeah, I don't have any new highlighters, so I'm just gonna go in with this. Has a nice kind of pinky tone. This is such a pretty duo. For eyebrows, I don't have anything new, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use my Dior Show Onset Brow Gel. Okay, now for the NATASHA DENONA Bloom palette. Here is the palette of 15 shades. It is her midi size, so I believe it's $69 retail. And I believe this is available not only on her site, but Sephora and Ulta, and probably a bunch of other places. I will admit, this is not really the color story that I'm going to be thinking of or reaching for very often. I have definitely been leaning towards like cooler eye tones, but there are definitely a couple shades in here that are very, very pretty. This is a great matte kind of like lay down shade or blender shade or under the brow shade. We've got a beautiful gold here. This one is slightly cool tone. It's got a little purple in there. So there's enough variety in here that I feel like, you know, it's worth exploring. So anyway, why don't I go ahead and do swatches for you. So here are the 15 shades, and I'm gonna go across the top, the middle, and then the bottom. So first we have Fluorescence, Bark, Keen, Wren, Fleur. Then we have Crisp, Lush, Brick, Rue, and Flows. And then last we have Petal, Ember, Robin, Clover, and Equinox. Per usual with NATASHA DENONA palettes, we have a really nice assortment of different finishes between her soft mattes and some of these shimmer shades, her more metallic shades. And of course, in true NATASHA DENONA fashion, she has laid the colors out in such a beautiful, inspirational way. And she actually painted the graphic that you find on the cover here. I think it's on her either Instagram stories or a reel or something where she's playing with watercolor, which she hadn't done in a while. But anyway, they took part of one of her paintings and used that for the cover. Okay, let's start with, I'm actually gonna start with Petal. I wanna see what this very pale shade looks like on my lids, like if you can see anything, if it oxidizes, all that kind of good stuff. I've got my BK Beauty 202 brush. I'm gonna go into Petal. And I don't generally have, you know, oxidizing problems with NATASHA DENONA shadows, unlike like Charlotte Tilbury. I've made that point before in the past. A lot of her shadows, once applied, I find turn very, very warm, orangey, copper on my skin tone. I don't generally find that with NATASHA DENONA eyeshadows, but I did just want to see how this particular powder performed. Nice, yeah. It looks true to how it appears in the pan, which is great. And then I'm kind of attracted to this last row here because it's not especially warm, like this shade here and this one, but it's also not too pink like these two shades. Yeah, this whole row back here looks, and this one too, up front, looks just a little bit more neutral, which I'm leaning towards. So I'm gonna go into this Flows matte shade, and I'm gonna use my BK Beauty A502 brush. Is that right? Yeah, A502. This shade is almost like a brick red. Whew, I just had a sneezing attack, sorry. Oh my gosh, okay. I had to like put away the eyeshadow palette and step away. Oh my goodness, all right. This Flow shade is going on nicely. It's very pigmented, so I have to be careful. I've got, you know, a little bit of a droopiness here going on. And sometimes I feel like the pigment sort of pools, you know, in those spots. So I'm just being careful and kind of blending it out. But yeah, okay. I mean, you know, it's still a very warm look. I don't know that I can get away from that in this palette, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my finger and apply Equinox and just add that to the center of my lid. This has a nice, cool, frosty tone to it. I really wish NATASHA DENONA would come out with a Mocha Mousse inspired palette. So not super cool toned, you know, like her Xenon palette, but a little bit cooler leaning, you know? I mean, I guess we could consider maybe her Glam or I Need a Nude palette like that, but I think even more brown, more brownish gray, more taupe. It's a selfish ask, I know, it's a selfish ask. Okay, that is Equinox. I think I want something to kind of blend out this Flows because it is pretty deep on my light skin tone. So I'm actually gonna go in with a different brush, kind of like a small flat shader, like this Builder S brush from Sonia G. And I think I'll go into, I don't know, either Wren or Robin. I think maybe Robin down here, and just add that. Is that even helping? It's like I wanted more of a transition from the Flows to the Equinox, but that's not helping. That's not helping. Okay, let me try, actually, let me go up to this Floor shade up here. Kind of stick to that row that I was talking about. Let's try it over here. Oh yeah. Yeah, these three shades really do work very well together, just FYI. Yeah, I like that. I like that much better. I don't know if there's any saving this eye since I already put down that Robin shade. Now I'm gonna take Crisp and add this to my inner corner, tear duct. You know the drill. Pretty. You know, I like how this turned out. I do. Even though, like I said, I've been really gravitating towards cooler, neutral eye looks, this one I think is very pretty. I'm going to grab a liner brush and go into Bark. I think this may be a little bit too warm of a brown for me to use as liner, but we'll try. So I'm going to use my Sonia G Pencil Small, I think. Yeah, Pencil S brush. Go into Bark. I think that's okay. That does the job. It is a little bit warm. It's like a very milk chocolatey brown. All right, so that is the Bloom palette. I mean, it's, you know, very consistent in terms of formulation. NATASHA DENONA formula. I think everything blends out beautifully. The pigmentation is there. It really is just a matter of whether or not that color story is for you. I do think it's a standalone palette also. I think there's a nice broad range of shades and colors. It goes from very light to deep, like that Bark shade. So that's very nice. But I do think it's very warm. It's very warm, and you have to be into that. So anyway, moving on, I'm just gonna go ahead and curl my lashes. I do have a mascara that I'm excited to use. It's not new. It's not even new to me, but Benefit just sent it to me in PR. And I love this mascara. It is the Benefit Roller Lash, one of my favorite mascaras. So I'm just gonna open up this brand new tube. Look at that. Yeah, one of my favorites. This made it to my top 3 mascaras because one of my favorites has fallen off, unfortunately, the Wayne Goss mascara. Whew, I love that mascara. So good. I hope he brings it back. Please, Wayne, bring back your mascara. But this one, the Lancome, the Surat Noir Lash Tint, those are longtime favorites, and this one. Yeah, this does a really good job giving me, I don't know, it's like doll lashes. You know, not exceptionally like long. They're just like, you know, each individual lash I feel like is just very nicely defined. Wow, it's been so long since I've used this mascara and it's so good. It's still so good. Now for lips, I have a few lip products that we can swatch. So Dior came out with new shades for the Dior Addict. And actually, let me look up what the shades are. I keep tapping on one product in the Sephora app and it keeps pulling up something else. I feel like I'm going crazy. Wow, there are a lot of Dior Addict lip shine shades. When you tap through the color chips there, new will pop up. So this one, Dior Revolution, it's an intense brownish red. This one is new. Dream, an intense pink nude. D Player, an intense rosewood. That one is new. And Dior Rodeo, which is what I ordered, a rosewood nude, is new as well. I think those are the 4 shades on here. Yeah, the 4 shades that are new, at least on the Sephora site. And I like these Dior Addict lip shines because they have, you know, a decent pigmentation. They're not like hyperpigmented. They have a really glossy finish to them, really comfortable on the lips. And best of all, their fragrance is very, very light. Yeah, very, very light. All right, so let's try out this one. And I think if you are gonna be missing the Chanel Rouge Coco Bloom lipsticks, because I believe that line is being discontinued. It's starting to slowly disappear from retailers and the Chanel site. And I did a live stream, and I've never actually been the biggest fan of the Bloom line. I got a couple of them when it launched. I was like, okay, not my favorite. I really like the Rouge Coco Flashes, but I asked a couple of people and, you know, why they like the Rouge Coco Bloom, and they said it's more pigmented. They have naturally very pigmented lips, and so they liked this lip product that was a little bit more pigmented because it showed up. So I think you would like this if you like the Rouge Coco Bloom, because I find these to be more pigmented than the Rouge Coco Flashes from Chanel. So that is Dior Rodeo. I really like this. I like this shade. It's nice. It actually goes really, really well with this eyeshadow look. All right, now Sarah CREAL sent over 2 of her like lip serums, solid lip serums, we'll call them. Here is the packaging. And this is the shade Intuition. I love this. Look at that. It is like a shimmery, frosty, golden. It's like a lip highlighter, essentially. Isn't that beautiful? And then they also sent over the shade Thriving. And here is Thriving. Now the pigmentation of these looks to be closer to like the Rouge Coco Flash versus the Bloom. So less pigmentation than the Dior Addict lip shines. I am going to remove this. I'm gonna try Intuition, the golden one first. These feel really nice. And I bet this would pair beautifully over a lip liner, but that's it all by itself. I love that. This reminds me of a lot of lip products from Chanel that they've discontinued. But I really love this. Ooh, gorgeous. Okay, so that is Intuition. Let me remove this and we'll try Thriving. There's Thriving. Oh, what a beautiful nude shade. And these have a nice thick texture to them, but very emollient, very, very emollient. Wow. These are wonderful. Well, that's everything that I want you to try. Let's just do a quick little look at my complexion here and see if the foundation has done anything strange. Actually, I feel like it's settled in. You know how sometimes it takes a little while for makeup to really like settle in, dry down, for your skin to like do its thing with it. I think it actually looks better now than it did when I first put it on. And I think the powder has like, you know, settled. I really do like this YSL powder. And I think I made this statement maybe in a live stream, but I've been testing out a lot of talc-free powders. And it's interesting. I like a lot of the like prestige, like mid-range Sephora brands better than the luxury brands. So anyway, definitely stay tuned for that video because I have opinions and thoughts on all of these talc-free powders. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you are new to my channel, I'd appreciate if you'd subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.